My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. It's 9:29 a.m. That's called amplification, first of all. That is a demonstration of demon possession that's legally relevant upon group stalking by the state that's engaging in the elements of monitoring, audible activity, relevant positioning, and they're stalking using emergency vehicles. They're doing so under that which is not the sun. Those are indeed demons. That is indeed evidence of stalking. It is criminal facilitation that is done in concert with the demons who are the people of the state. In addition to amplified sirens while group stalking amongst the people of the state who are also going to be prosecuted for state surveillance, the sex offender are the people of the state, which is what I've been documenting. Review the document that is describing the sexual violence by the state that you hear group stalking utilizing sirens. Remember, the demonic activity occurs in the specific environment amongst the elements of monitoring while demons practice surveillance, and it is of a satanic nature. And so you're listening to the government participate in demonic activity, and they're doing so. That's how I'm able to capture video for you to look at the duration of time. This is expanded 11 hours. Where that which is not possibly the sun, but you're looking at that light source that appears as the sun. This is the demonic environment where demons are stalking, masquerading as police, fire departments, and ambulances when they're engaging in very malicious state surveillance, and they're demon possessed while doing so. The sex offenders are also engaging in what is traffic that's creating vibration, sort of sensational activity inside of the hotel, which is impossible sensational activity. This is how you understand demons are targeting you. The entity also doing the same thing when the demons are pacing in traffic, and the amplified heightened volume of such traveling in vehicles is amplified in volume. And that's how you know that demons are targeting you. And it's also that which is occurring while my legs are open, while my genitalia is exposed. And demons know exactly what you're doing as you're doing it while they're keeping you under surveillance. This is the state stalking system. Okay, so you're looking at, first of all, the targeted environment where the demons know exactly what you're doing as you're doing it under a fake sun that's over this hotel, as I've shown through the windows of this hotel from 8:24 in the morning until 7:02 in the evening. That's not the sun. That's a demon-possessed entity. That's a sex offender that engages in the demonic features of that system. The targeted, amplified, audible activity, it's targeted not only because it's an impossible occurrence, It also is targeted because sex offenders who you just hear engaging in demonic activity occurring through the method of use of sirens and emergency lights on the vehicles under a fake sun and amongst engineered light. Those are all acts of a phenomenon. Those demons are stalking using emergency vehicles. The same conduct is revealing what are sex offenders that are amplifying audible activity into the depths of a fourth floor hotel room, into the depths of the bathroom inside of that fourth floor hotel room, which is the equally impossible conduct, audible activity that's reaching into the depths of a hotel room, which is as targeted as the fake sun for 12 plus hours. It is as targeted as the engineered light. There's no light that's beaming off of your vehicle, creating flashing light on my bedroom wall, on the ceiling, on the hotel wall, in the hallways. Those are the methods of demons who are violent sex offenders who engage in that same targeted conduct utilizing amplified audible activity. So sex offenders with knowledge that your genitalia is exposed will engage in that moment, creating amplified audible activity to sexually offend and violate, which sex offenders, that's what group stalkers are. They're violent sex offenders. And Alan San Victoris is going to be prosecuted as the sex offender, the demon-possessed terrorist that he is, because this is a statewide system. While the people of the state are engaging in surveillance in concert and on behalf of that entire terrorist organization, the MONROVIA Police Department, this is a covert terrorist organization, and they engage and employ in our group stalking pursuant to the same exact sexually violent and demonic pattern of conduct. At what is currently 9:33 a.m., there is a light source that is not the sun that is speaking to the demon possession of a sexually violent entity that's targeting inside of a hotel room, which is also the ongoing engagement and a sex offense by the state. It will be prosecuted with regard to the individualization of that criminal act, which is sexually violent, draining the pockets of what is TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott. While this is the people of the state criminally and maliciously misusing a business while keeping demons in hotel rooms that are engaging in sexual violence together with that entity that's engaging in surveillance, while the ongoing phenomenons remain: the fake sun, the directed light, all of which is captured on video, and then the amplification. So I'm documenting specifically the sexual violence that TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott is engaged in, and the entire entity that includes the state that you just heard engaging in demonic activity, not a legitimate emergency. That is the malice with which the state of California practices sacrificing an American citizen, whom they are targeting through demonic methods of group stalking. They are under the same exact fake sun. That is the same exact amplification. It is the same exact relevant positioning. And they do so also with real-time knowledge that is calculated maintenance of the elements of monitoring while on the internet and via communication devices, which is in violation of Title 18, 22618 subsections 1 and 2. This sexual violence, I am speaking to what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis. This is the pattern of conduct. Group stalking will be prosecuted as the sexual violence that it is. The government and businesses, down to the people of the state by individual names, will be prosecuted. Those under the age of majority, they engage in group stalking, they're engaging in sexual violence, and that will be a sex offense on their criminal record. And it will follow them above the age of majority. This is what the entity is doing. That's what the entity is going to be convicted of. So I just want to document that, and that is expounded upon in a document that is uploaded today, July 28, 2024, and it's referred to as the perpetual sex offender. That's what the state of California is. That's what the people of the state are, while they are together practicing federal group stalking and monitoring. It is again 9:36 a.m. This is P.O.C. Group stalking in this room, running into the storage. The demon knows where I'm coming, that I'm coming out, in the same way that they know. Oh, question. Bueno. Hi. Good morning. I'm looking to see if you guys have any extra towels. So group stalking and alignment in the rooms, beating on the walls, amplification. Go ahead. While I'm on crossing path. While I'm on the crossing path, demonic pacing, while fake sun's over the hotel. In the rooms, stalking with audible activity creation. These are demons who are pacing, walking in opposite directions, just like they do in vehicles, and they're all monitoring what I'm doing on my phone. They're all worthy of federal prison. They're sex offenders engaging in group stalking with the state, while the entity keeps a fake sun through this hotel window, as you saw at 6 p.m. These are indeed demons. Demonic pacing, one body after another, one body after another, one body after another, demonic pacing. Demonic pacing. demonic pacing, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path. And the demons are engaging in surveillance while they're in the hotel room. Amplified sound of beating on the walls. Every time I'm engaging in taking screenshots, the screenshots, and you'll see the time that I was captured a series of screenshots, the fake sun at Alvarado Gardens versus the fake sun at the same time at this property. Those are indeed demons that are pacing, working at the venue, going to federal prison. Same condition. Okay, doing so in a specific environment. There's no sun at Alvarado Gardens. Okay, yeah, hold on one second. Hi, quick question. Do you know if I can get some towels?
Of course you can.
This is a demon. So the use of sirens, coexisting with presence and amplified audible activity, the same when genitalia is exposed in private space. Working at the venue. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.
That is indeed P.O.C. That's what they're doing while I'm inside of the room. So demons that are, again, under the guise of cleaning, the same thing under the guise of remaining in the room. Same demonic behavior. You're just looking at a different type of costume, if you will. The patron versus the housekeeper, it's the same criminal presence, the same demonic behavior, the same specific environment. The targeted amplification, while the demons engage in surveillance via traffic, the demons engage in surveillance via emergency vehicles. All right, that's amplified sirens, and the demons that are engaged in sexual violence as one. While my legs are open, genitalia is exposed. The sex offenders engage in the targeted act because it's impossible to hear. It's impossible to have flashing directed light. It's impossible to have a fake sun. It's impossible to have a fake sun. So that's understanding the targeting conduct while the sex offenders want to monitor you at the moment that they know your legs are open and your genitalia is exposed. TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott engaged in the P.O.C. right now on camera. That was demonic pacing, one demon after another. That was literally this conduct that I showed you. This is what a demon wants to do, cross path back and forth. They do it, the demon possessed do it by multiple bodies. That's what group stalking is. So you saw a series of demons in the hallway walking in opposite directions toward me, together crossing path. And you also saw it while the employees of the venue, all of whom are going to federal prison. That's systematic facilitation. They're also doing so with knowledge of what I'm documenting. And so what I was documenting is what you will review here. This is the evidence speaking to what is the perpetual sex offense committed by the people of the state and the state together. So while the demons are engaged in criminal monitoring on the venue of the internet, they are aware of what I'm capturing, screen images of the extensive documentation at Alvarado Gardens at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, where the fake sun is at 10 a.m. Directly over my head as I'm facing the hillside where the sun would rise in the morning. I'm capturing on July 25th the fake sun that's seen through the windshield of a demon. That's how you're identifying the condition, because that's an impossible occurrence. That's not the natural environment. This is where the demon possessed are engaging in a satanic method of stalking you, doing so in a manner that you're not supposed to be aware of. The fact that there is an entire engineered environment around you. This is the practice of witchcraft. This is what demons are doing all around you while they're engaging in an identical behavioral pattern. This is the personality, in other words, the behavior of Satan, as Satan uses the entire population that surrounds you, going from body to body to body, if you will. This is demon possession. It is a criminal act by the government while the government practices demonic activity. Everything about the pattern of conduct is targeted. The audible activity creation, the fake sun is targeted. The engineer light is targeted. The amplified audible activity, it's targeted. So then you're looking at the sexually violent and predatory purpose of targeting while you're physically nude with knowledge that my genitalia is exposed. That's when the sex offender likes to engage in the targeted act of amplifying audible activity in an environment where a fake sun remains over the hotel all day long. Exhibit A. The light source is over me at Alvarado Gardens at the hillside, apartment 1806 number 6, facing the hillside. This is the fake sun in perfect alignment with me at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott, where you just saw demons engaging in demonic pacing. That, what I just documented right now with the demons in the hallway, that's not ordinary human behavior. That was demonic method. That was terrorism, while demons are engaging in pacing all around you like hollow minions. They're the living dead, and they're pacing all around on an ongoing basis, stalking me. The demons want to engage in that pattern of conduct while appearing as though they're doing something like housekeeping, while appearing as though they're doing something like checking out of the hotel, while appearing as though they're doing something like driving around the hotel in traffic, while engaging in appearing as though they're doing something while sounding sirens as though there's an emergency, like you're going anywhere, when you're not going anywhere. They're demons stalking in an environment, maintaining presence as an entity, and the sex offenders engage in this elements of monitoring under a fake sun, which I'm showing you comparing and contrasting Alvarado Gardens at the same time, 10 a.m. Well, this is TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott in Monrovia, California at the same time, 10:04, 4 minutes. The fake sun didn't go anywhere on this day at Alvarado Gardens. You already know the evidence. It remains right there at Alvarado Gardens all day long. In fact, it stays at this same position over the top of my head until as late as 2:30, 2:44 in the afternoon. The fake sun doesn't go anywhere. It remains where I remain. That's why it's now documenting a grand departure, however, nothing even close to what is the natural environment, giving context to what are demons who you just saw pacing in a hallway at the facilitating venue. Demons who are engaging in housekeeping, and while they are doing so, engaging in criminal presence, the sound of amplification beating the walls. You already know what the demon in room 517 is doing. They're acting together while they are aware of every screenshot that I'm capturing. Every time I capture a screenshot, boom, 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 boom. All right, that's terrorism. Also, what you just saw while I'm walking outside in the hallway, documenting it, those are demons that are pacing around. That's terrorism. I'm going to prosecute for that. While they are monitoring on a communication device, that's Title 18 criminal conduct, knowing exactly what I'm documenting as I'm documenting it on a communication device on the internet in violation of Title 18, 22618 subsections 1 and 2. The demons that are outside of this building do the same thing. As I documented, stalking with the creation of sirens as I am uploading documentation onto the venue of the internet. That's exactly what I documented the other day as I am online reviewing the entity that is group stalking. The entity is engaging in the frequency with which they engage in criminal summoning is based on what I do, what it is that I'm saying, what it is that I might be documenting or speaking of. And that's a method of targeting, identifying the targeting conduct. But you also know that it's targeting because the fake sun, because of the targeted engineer light, because of the targeted amplification of audible activity, which is also serving a predatory and sexually perverted, sexually motivated aspect of the pattern of conduct. The demon possessed are violent sex offenders, which is what group stalking is. And that's exactly how it's going to be prosecuted. Over and under the age of majority, you will be prosecuted as an exceedingly violent sex offender, which is what group stalking is. This is the state that's engaging in exceedingly violent sex offense as an entity, engaging in a conspiracy to murder and or kidnap permanently and a targeted individual, an American citizen. That's what group stalking is. That's an impossible occurrence right now. We're hearing the revving of an engine of a vehicle that's on Myrtle and Huntington while I'm on the 4th floor of a hotel. And I am also showing you the evidence of what is a fake sun that's not possibly over 2 of these venues at the same time. And at each of which documentation showing the maintenance of said light source for 12 plus hours in the day. This is the pattern of conduct that's underway at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott. While you're looking at it here at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm reminding you not only as we contrast it with Los Angeles, California, where through my blinds that are closed, the entity keeping a fake sun in perfect alignment with my bedroom window, this is where these are demons group stalking on the this street right here, Myrtle and Huntington. The entity is engaged in repeated crossing of path, and I'm showing you the crime scene where demons are group stalking. The entity is, you see it at the top, it's in alignment with my bedroom window, 6:42 p.m., 6:28 to 6:39, I captured video yesterday evening. You can see the light source through the windshields of the vehicles parked at Alvarado Gardens, which is not anywhere near a hotel in Monrovia, California, at the intersection of Myrtle and Huntington, nor anywhere in Monrovia at all. It's in LA at Alvarado Gardens, which is how you see it through the windshields of the vehicles parked at Alvarado Gardens. The same parking lot where at 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. every hour in the morning, this fake sun is seen through the windshields of the vehicles, the windows of the buildings. There is no mistaking the location of that light source, which is not the sun. That light source is speaking to the targeted conduct with regard to amplified audible activity that you just heard. The demons also do it with sirens, with knowledge of what it is that I'm doing. Let me be clear. This is not prosecution for, I've already established the prosecution for the state for being demon possessed, which is terrorism by an entity that's stalking you. So this is worse than a horror flick. You have what are the living dead that are chasing me around everywhere. They're also violent sex offenders that like to engage in their demonic behavioral pattern when they know that my legs are spread wide open, when they know that my genitalia is fully exposed. Those are the moments when they want to engage in the phenomenon. They want to engage in targeted light activity. They want to engage in amplified audible activity, which is demonic. It's an act of the phenomenon in the first place, and it's occurring within the phenomenon. A fake sun remains over the venue where that ongoing pattern of conduct is underway. It is indeed targeted. It is the prosecution for TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott as a sex offender. I'm going to recover for them for engaging in sexual violence as an entity. While they're engaging in and facilitating, as you see demons fill the hotel, all they're doing is maintaining criminal presence, and so are the demons that are working at the hotel. Many of whose faces I've captured, but I don't need to even capture all their faces. The entire employee Rolodex, if you will, is going to be produced because they're all going to federal prison. This is an exceedingly violent sex offense that is unfathomable. And it's something that's supposed to torture the targeted individual in silence. You're not able to, who you're going to report it to? Who are you going to describe it to? Who's going to believe you about a fake sun, about so-called engineered light? Who even comes up with that title, but one that is capable of articulating what Satan is doing amongst a corrupt government and a corrupt people, all of whom are demon possessed? This is that sexual violence that is never supposed to be reported, never supposed to be spoken of, never supposed to be heard of. Specifically with the intent, the conspiracy to murder and or permanently kidnap that targeted individual, which the demon possessed enjoy sexually violating together with children. You saw the entity engaging in group stalking by children, room 418. That's what they like to do. They're maintaining presence in these hotel room under a fake sun with engineered light and amplified audible activity. And the entity is doing that pursuant to a pattern of conduct. That's what the entire apartment complex of Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison for. All 59 units. They can move wherever they want. There will not be any labor. It's no laborious task for the federal government to reach out its long arm and pull you into whatever federal tribunal where this will be entertained, and you're going to federal prison. So the entity is doing so now at a hotel, and the pattern of conduct is readily identifiable. When I'm capturing screenshots, you have the demon possessed who are working at the venue and want to wear a disguise as employees housekeeping. Those demons are engaged in federal stalking, beating on the walls, which is amplified audible activity in relevant position under the fake sun, which as I'm capturing screen images of, all of the demons are aware. This is the fake sun that's shown over the parking lot side. This is the covering over the parking lot side. This is the same covering right here over the parking lot side, and I'm showing you the duration of time analysis, 9:22. The fake sun is right over the top of my head. I told you what the entity, the demon possessed, are doing under a fake sun that remains on one side of my person, the top of my head all day long, and then setting on the opposite side of my person. You see that very highly illustrated inside of the hotel building at intersection Myrtle and Huntington. You saw that inside of the apartment building, Alvarado Gardens, the living room window to the bedroom window. You've seen this, for example, on the same day, even down to the same hour, as I also contrasted the P.O.C. to what I'm doing on the same day and the same time in Ontario, California, July 2022. And I'm maintaining presence at the Ovid Family Community Library at this time of year. There is no sun that's over the Ovid Family Community Library that you're looking at over this parking lot. You can clearly see it on a daily basis as I'm capturing. And this is also as you isolate it. You don't even have to compare it to the Ovid Family Community Library, but I do for purposes of doing my due diligence, providing for no rebuttal for any demon-possessed contender that would like to suggest it's your imagination or just some unintelligent argument that this looks like it's here, but it's not. It's also over Ontario somewhere, or it's through the bedroom window in Los Angeles somewhere, because it's not. And it's not enough for me to say that that's asinine and unintelligent and that that's a demon that doesn't want the truth to be known about what Satan is doing amongst them and those like them. I want to be clear, the entity is engaging in what is the maintenance of a light source that's readily identifiable. Through the specific environment, the entity is maintaining a light source in ways in which you can clearly see. This is the same vantage point. While I'm inside of this lobby here, I am showing you through the windshield. This would be the same, essentially the same position for this fake sun to be here. It's going to be seen through a windshield of a vehicle parked in the parking lot at the same location. I'm giving you this vantage point. This is non-movement of the so-called sun. That's not going to be the sun that will be present. You've got essentially an hour later, it's at the same location. That's not the sun. That's not the sun at all. I want to be clear. The entity engages in keeping the fake sun present for 12 plus hours. That's totally far-fetched, as I stated, asininity with regard to what is blatant stalking by demons. I want to be clear. Not only have I already established beyond a reasonable doubt the fact that the government is stalking, it's not just enough to understand that it's terrorism because they're demon possessed. This will be prosecuted as a sex offense that it is. The perpetual sex offender is engaging in sexual violence with real-time knowledge of the fact of anything and everything that you're doing. In addition to that, the fact that the entity is engaging in sexual violence as a population, and in addition to that, the entity engages in more and more sexual violence as you document, as you expose it. And so this is what is underway while the entity engages in targeted conduct such as amplified audible activity. Targeted conduct, which the entity generously provides on video after video and then wants to engage in conduct as though it's normal or that anybody forgot about it. No one forgot about it. That's an impossible occurrence. There's a pattern of that amongst this population. It's very targeted. It's occurring in a targeted environment. Where I go, there is a fake sun. This is where the entity is stalking in helicopters, airplanes, and through the entity that criminally misuses emergency vehicles to engage in demonic activity, light activity, relevant positioning, and amplified audible activity. The entity does so while it is aware that I am physically indisposed and that my genitalia is being, my legs are open, my genitalia is exposed, my body is nude. That's the mind state. That's the mens rea. That's the sexually perverted and predatory purpose of the demon possessed, the state of California. This will be recognized under federal law as a sex offense committed by an entity, and it will be sliced down, individualized, that is, by every license plate, every person's image, everyone under the age of 18 acting within a pattern of group stalking. So the entity acts with 5-year-old, 6-year-old children. You're going to document that because they're going to lose custody of those children. But I'm talking about those that will gain a criminal record, such as Susana Martinez's 15-year-old daughter. She engaged in a pattern of documented group stalking and monitoring, showing a specific intent and desire on unilaterally as I documented her and engaging and repeatedly engaging in a pattern. That is one who is exhibiting knowledge, specific knowledge, and an intent and purpose to act with the government who was monitoring me with her and via her criminal activity. She's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. And justice does not, under any circumstances, make an exception. Oh, well, this sex offender is underage. No. If you rape somebody and you happen to be 15 years old, it's all the more egregious and you will be prosecuted as a sex offender. So the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It's exceedingly violent. Sexual violence. That's what it is. Because the population is doing it, because the demon possessed, the personality defect of the demon possessed is to engage in more sexual violence, more sexually offensive conduct, because the entity is molesting with engineered light, violating your person, because the entity is engaging in things such as watching you on the internet, placing cameras inside of your private space so that they can watch your nude body, watch you undress, watch you do whatever it is you do inside of your private space. That's also relevant to what is a sex offense by the entity. That is group stalking, keeping you under surveillance. The demon possessed who practice things such as witchcraft, thinking that they can siphon off or suck off your energy while they watch you engage in private conduct. That's the behavior of the demon possessed. This is within the pattern of conduct of group stalking. While the government is stalking you in helicopters, doing so pursuant to the same demonic behavioral pattern that is sexually predatory. It's not different. Remember, the audible activity creation is pursuant to the same pattern of conduct. So you're talking about the sex offender that will amplify audible activity. The only distinction is you're making between state action and what is vicariously state action. That's it. It's impossible audible activity. The entity is engaging in it under an impossible occurrence that a sun is over a hotel building for 12 plus hours. It is within the phenomenon, the impossible occurrence that sunlight ricochets into the 4th floor hallway staircase of a hotel where the light source is captured at 8:24 in the same hotel after 6 p.m. And yesterday I'm capturing video after 7 p.m. That's not the natural environment. That's where amplified audible activity that occurs with simultaneity to my genitalia being exposed. That's the sexually motivated pattern of conduct, which, by the way, is sexual violence that the entity also engages in with minor children. Monitoring, surveillance in a private space is and shall be prosecuted as a sex offense. Sex offenders like to include children in sexual violence. You're going to prosecute for that in the same way that the federal government would prosecute a rapist that includes a minor child in that sexual violence. You include them in the act. Would you rape a man or a woman and include a child in that sexual act? Would you do that? Well, you don't engage in group stalking in a private space with children either. This is what the people of the state are doing on a routine basis, while they, as a society, engage in and practice federal group stalking and monitoring. You're going to prosecute the same. You're going to prosecute exactly the same, because that's the level of violation that the government, the people, are engaging in. And the demons sought to do it secretly so that you would never be heard, so that you suffer in silence. That's also speaking to the violence perpetrated by a sex offender. That's all relevant. And literally, while I walked outside right now, you saw demons pacing in the hallway. You saw demons pacing in the hallway in the environment where the sun is never possibly present, over both Alvarado Gardens at 1806 North Alvarado Street and also my apartment complex, my leasing office, and which is also on the record. But I was in this hotel room capturing screenshots, just showing you example after example at the same time. 6:39 p.m. This is the fake sun outside of the hotel room facing Myrtle and Huntington, where the demon possessed are engaging in an ongoing perpetual sex offense, which I'm going to drain the pockets of the people of the state TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott for. They engaged in a sex offense on video right now. Pacing in the hallway, you're engaging in the elements of monitoring. You're engaging in surveillance in plain sight, thinking that nobody knows what your demonically relevant pattern of conduct looks like. And you're doing it with impunity and malice, and you're doing it as a sex offense. You're monitoring someone inside of a private space, in a hotel. And that's what they're doing on a 24-hour basis, pacing all around inside of the hotel, pacing around in the sky space over the hotel, pacing around all around the hotel in the parking lot and on the roads and the highways, across the street in the parking lot, pacing in and out of the buildings all around. This is a demon-possessed population. Everything that they're doing is centered on me. The demon-possessed are a psychotic population, and all they're actually doing is pacing. The demon-possessed want to look like this is everyday life. They want to desperately blend in. And I've shown you the environment. This is not normal. They're pacing. They don't want you to know what they're doing in the spirit. And it's also sexually motivated. So this is what the entity is doing in this specific environment. That is no natural conduct. And they are foolish enough to engage in group stalking on video. You're foolish enough to arrive for work. You're foolish enough to check into the hotel. You're foolish enough to show me engineer light on video again at yet another location. And you're foolish enough to think that you're driving off and getting away with anything. Because the demon-possessed, millions of them by now, it's been days, millions of them participating in surveillance by driving at the intersection of Huntington and MONROVIA. And the entity thinks that, let me be clear, there are people who are going to federal prison for the impunity that the entity is documented engaging in. The ceaseless demonic features of amplified audible activity, sensational activity, the ongoing group stalking, and the directly threatening conduct while the state directly acts, which is not helping the people who, like I said, this is the foolishness of the entity system. People are going to federal prison, and then the fire departments, the entity that's group stalking by these demons driving ambulances, the demons of the, let me be clear, just off the top of your dome, the federal government knows to go right to the MONROVIA Police Department. Nobody is escaping anything. Where you live at Avalon Bay, I don't have to go over there and get that. I don't have to pull up a Google map and get everybody. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. This is a massive means of prosecuting a massive crime by an entire government and entire population. And while they engage in it with impunity, you're adding on time to how long you will be going to federal prison. You'll find out. Perhaps you don't get it yet, but you will be going to federal prison. And it is no mystery who you are and the weapons, the instruments that you extended in order to engage in it, while a sex offense, a perpetual sex offense, and criminal monitoring, which is the conspiracy to murder and or permanently kidnap a targeted individual with knowledge of the fact that it was being documented. The entire time aware of the fact that it was being documented. So I just want to make sure that I documented that. The entity engaging in that's why I stepped out to get the demons who are calling themselves housekeepers. Satan can call himself whatever he wants. He can dress up in a clown suit and provide a show for the kids. Guess what? It's relevant positioning. They're doing it with minor children. This is showing the sickness as opposed to something innocent and cute. This is how Satan operates. Very maliciously, very high level deception at play. You will never forget the targeted engineered light, the targeted environment with a fake sun, the targeted environment with amplified audible activity. That same targeting conduct is ongoing when my legs are open, when a whole population knows that my genitalia is exposed, when a whole population is aware of the fact that I'm physically nude in a shower, touching my body at whatever location, and sex offenders choose at that moment to engage in communicating a threat. Yes, I'm monitoring. Yes, I'm stalking you while you're touching your genitalia, while your legs are open. That's the conduct. That's the communication by the sex offender. That's going under a whole population. Documented thousands of people who are going to be prosecuted for that because the entity acts as one. Your criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring did not end when I moved away from Alvarado Gardens. This is the same criminal system that you were engaging in. This is the same sexual violence that you were engaging in. You sought to do it also in a workplace, Country Village Apartments and speaker companies. No one has forgotten. Oh, that's also Jay Williams. Jay Williams Staffing. And that's just on the record. Remember, while practicing law, this is the pattern of conduct that I was subject to unbeknownst to me as a practicing attorney. This is the sex offense that a state has engaged in, and it will be prosecuted as a sex offense committed by companies who are nothing other than the people that say it's going under your company name. It's going under your name as I prosecute you. It's going under the criminal activity of the government itself. The government will be prosecuted as a sex offender because the government is engaged in sexual violence while it practices witchcraft and demonic activity, demon possessed. Okay, they're hollow dummies pacing all around me 24 hours a day. And it's no longer a mystery and it's not a secret. And everything that they are doing is pointing to themselves and each other. And you have people that are adding time onto the federal prison clock, if you will, because you're going to federal prison. Those that I've told you you're going to federal prison, you're going. And you're all getting a criminal record that you will never forget. And nobody else is going to let you forget it either. It's currently 11 a.m. at third-party facilitating venue, TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott. So let me show you again the location that is subject to the pattern of conduct. This is relevant for what a RICO charges. This is not a legitimate business. This is where I'm subject to the perpetual sex offense by the state of California. It's the bottom portion of this. This is criminal summoning captured yesterday. I'm just using this for purposes of documenting where the pattern of conduct is centered at right now. And it's my location at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott at 102 West Huntington Drive in MONROVIA, California. This is P.O.C. That's helicopter activity. That is the terrorist organization, the MONROVIA Police Department. The demon-possessed and terrorist leader, Alan San-Victoris, he's going to be prosecuted as a domestic terrorist. This is not distinct from the criminal conduct, the criminal system in the specific environment that Dominic Choi and the demon-possessed Los Angeles Police Department engaged in. And they're amplifying helicopter activity while I'm on the 4th floor of third-party facilitating venue. All the employees who are going to federal prison and all the people of the state who are engaged in criminal surveillance on the surveillance cameras, using key cards, providing methods of payment, evidence of their criminal engagement in state surveillance with the terrorist organization, the MONROVIA Police Department, who are providing evidence of their criminal engagement in state surveillance. Which, remember, federal group stalking and monitoring is the ongoing state's criminal system to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen. This is why you engage in stalking in helicopters. This is why you engage in kidnapping. This is why you engage in criminal defamation. This is why you engage in assault and battery as an entity that then wants to falsely depict the target individual as the assailant or as the one who is to blame for some reason upon the manufacturing of information by the demon-possessed entity, by the way. And you're also mindful of all these things that are surrounding the surrounding circumstances around the group stalking system. They're all under a fake sun and an engineered light, the body of evidence that surrounds. So that was helicopter activity. And Alan San-Victoris of the MONROVIA Police Department, the identical pattern of conduct. And it is currently 6:41 p.m. So let's remind ourselves about where the fake sun is, including over the Ovid Family Community Library, where the Ontario Police Department is engaged in the exact same thing, which I provided video of comparing the criminal system that the Los Angeles Police Department mimicked in the specific environment, where there would never be any so-called sunlight on the hotel room wall coming through what's a window. I want to be clear, this window faces what is Huntington and Myrtle, and the light source, as you saw yesterday, at the same time, the entity engaging in the very highly stupid, very ignorant conduct of what is a mentally inept yet highly psychotic demon-possessed group stalker who will use the same time to stalk in a helicopter in what is a specific environment amongst documented engineered light, which is speaking to the direct evidence of nothing other than group stalking, nonetheless, and it's a ongoing commission of a sex offense that the entire terrorist organization is going to be prosecuted for. And if Alan San-Victoris is not an American citizen, guess what? He's going to be deported. And every other demon-infected worker of the MONROVIA Police Department, it's a terrorist organization. They're going to be prosecuted. They're going to be dealt with like every other demon-possessed terrorist that's going to be prosecuted in the state of California. Deportation where it applies. Federal prison where it applies. And they're doing so in engineered light. Remember, first of all, there's no sun that will be over the Ovid Family Community Library where you're looking at so-called engineered light. There would be no sunlight appearing at this vantage point onto the walls of the hotel. I want you to hear what's now criminal summoning. Alan San Victoris is indeed going to be prosecuted. There is no anonymity. The terrorist organizations engage in bullying conduct, and they think in their minds where the government engages in terrorism, and as though it's anonymous that you're stalking in a helicopter, and also that no one is going to be able to prove or identify the fact that you are stalking a specific person. This is what the demons assumed, and then they engage in continuing that. So when you have thousands of videos of the Los Angeles Police Department stalking in helicopters, and then I move to Monrovia, and that fake sun remains where I remain in Monrovia over a specific building amongst what is impossible light activity, in conformity to a documented pattern of conduct showing the exact same specific environment, not a natural environment, that is a prosecution of a terrorist, a domestic enemy that is Alan San Victoris. There's no anonymity. And I guarantee you the names of those demons who are flying in helicopters are going to be produced because they're going to federal prison. And guess who's going to go to federal prison if you don't want to produce those names? The terrorist leader. And I want to be clear. Let me be clear. Alan San Victoris is very likely not avoiding federal prison, actually. But I want to be clear who's stalking in the helicopters going to federal prison. And then you have the terrorist leader themselves over these corrupt law enforcement agencies while they abide by an identical pattern of conduct. Stalking, flying at such a close manner that it's amplified volume, meaning I can hear the helicopter, you're flying at a very close location. And by the way, you already saw the fake sun at 6 p.m. when I'm in the parking lot, and the demons were flying at a great distance in a black helicopter, and it was impossible. That was me showing you amplification. This is me showing you impossible light activity, and you also hearing the helicopter activity, and then you hear the criminal summoning under the fake sun that you already know as a matter of your ability to see it. Look at the screenshots, look at the videos, the video of the fake sun outside of the window facing Myrtle and Huntington at 8:24 in the morning, and the video of the fake sun over the same parking lot, the same property at 6:22, after 6 p.m. Yesterday, I captured video while I'm looking out this window, the same property, and you can see that light source. And this is evidence of the presence of a light source that's not the sun. Because never is there going to be a sun over the same property and some sort of sunlight, which isn't supposed to be suggesting that this is the sun. This is where the entity is stalking in helicopter, which is exactly what you just heard, directly pointing to the prosecution of the Arcadia Fire Department, whose fire chief is documented. You could see his face. If he's not an American citizen, he's going to be deported. The chief of police of the Monrovia Police Fire Department, they're going to be prosecuted, engaged in criminal summoning. Those are the demons sounding sirens to their own demise. There's no anonymity. Their names and their faces are uploaded to the Google Drive. Take a look at the terrorist leaders who are going to be prosecuted for terrorism in the state of California. While I'm in yet another location and the same exact pattern of conduct by a government is underway in concert with the people of the state, because guess who they're telling on? Very easily. Everybody that works as an employee of TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott is going to federal prison. They literally engaged in what is readily known. Literally engaged in what is readily known, if there was ever a doubt, which there is not reasonably. But what the LAPD just engaged in on videos, in hundreds and hundreds of videos, the Monrovia Police Department literally just engaged in it under the evidence of what is not possibly the sun, the light source amongst engineered light. And they just engaged in stalking in a helicopter. So that is the analysis. I want to show you the light source. Give me 1 second. So you can see, you see the engineered light, you hear the helicopter activity, you heard the criminal summoning. And the entity is doing so. I will also remind you about what is documented literally at the same time, not only by the demon-possessed Upland Police Department, as I documented in at the Upland Public Library, the fake sun that remains at that venue after 6 p.m., 6:38 p.m. is what I documented. And I also documented the Upland Police Department group stalking outside of that library in Upland, California, where there would never be any sunlight, nor would there be any sun while it's over me at the Upland Public Library, where it would be present every morning. But I also documented the same pattern of conduct of the demons that are stalking in helicopters like the Monrovia Police Department are doing, notably at a low elevation when I'm so close to the ground, so close that you can certainly hear the traffic. You can hear them revving their engines. It creates vibration of the hotel windows. When they're driving on the grounds, amazingly, engineered light just moves all over the walls and the ceilings inside of the hallways of this hotel. Also, when I'm capturing, you saw the engineered light that was flashing on this wall. This is where the entity is indeed stalking, flying at a low elevation necessarily, while they would deny that they're demons. But there is no denying that they're stalking, and that was amplification of helicopter activity, and you are necessarily flying at a low elevation in relevant position amongst engineered light. There's no sunlight that's going to be here. Remember the hallway is right down, it's doors away, where the fake sun is outside of the hallway window on the 4th floor at 8:24 in the morning. It is 6:48 in the evening, and there's the fake sun. This is where demons are stalking in helicopter. Avalon Bay is a third-party venue. Just like Alvarado Gardens, they are group stalking with the same corrupt police department, engaged in criminal summoning with the same corrupt police department, fire departments, including Arcadia, including Monrovia, who provide evidence against all the people of the state, the demons who you know engage in molestation and directed light. While you see it moving all around on the staircase and on the ceilings, while you see them group stalking and engineer light moves across the DMV building in Glendale, while you see them in their crossing path in vehicles and engineer light moves all across my person and all across the sidewalks at the Social Security office in Los Angeles, while you see them driving and engineer light moves all across the sidewalks and all across the buildings, as I've documented for years in Ontario and San Bernardino County. That's the entity that just provided that evidence. Alan San Victoris can look forward to a federal prosecution for what is domestic terrorism, while he is engaging in criminal conduct with an entity that is demon-possessed and engaging in surveillance through the maintenance of presence, and they are all in what is engaged in criminal conduct as a population who are violent sex offenders. They like to engage in demonic targeted conduct amongst engineered light, that's an impossible occurrence, amongst what is a fake sun that's remaining, which is an impossible occurrence, and that's also speaking to what was targeted utilizing helicopter to engage in the elements of monitoring. Alan San Victoris is, I want to be clear, is communicating impunity and is communicating an impermissible threat to one who will personally prosecute him. And you need to know that this is a demon-possessed person, just like Dominic Choi, not ignorantly copying the pattern of conduct while demons are stalking in the path, remaining at traffic lights, movement as I move, amplification as I move, amplification and light activity as I document, like you just saw the flashing of light. The entity is not avoiding any documentation. You have a lot of people who are going to federal prison, including the entire Alvarado Gardens property, while you're looking at the proof of what I documented for the whole time I was there. The whole corporate office in Palo Alto is indeed going to federal prison. The entire apartment complex, all 59 units filled with terrorists, group stalking just like Alan San Victoris and the Monrovia Police Department are doing with helicopters, much like the Upland Police Department, group stalking in the specific environment with helicopters, like the Ontario Police Department, group stalking with helicopters, just like the Fontana Police Department and the Ontario Police Department, group stalking with helicopters, just like the Chino Police Department documented on the record, group stalking with helicopters, just like the Montclair Police Department, which is already on the record in the same exact specific environment, not the natural environment. Group stalking with helicopters, just like I documented the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, with helicopters in the same exact specific environment. Where you are looking at, again, another venue, which is speaking to a statewide system, which is speaking to massive demon possession, while the demon possessed engage in with convenience and the ease with which they do so, both by using helicopters, engaging in state surveillance on their way home, if you will, on their way to the mall, on their way to the grocery store, where you also know the entity is group stalking. That's why they're flying over my heads in helicopter, like the LAP did at the bank, at Chase Bank in LA, where there's no light, there's no sun that's going to be over Chase Bank at 1600 Vermont at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when it's remaining here, which is evidence of it while you're looking at it right here after 6 o'clock in the evening. This is the same location where exactly what I'm stating, a fake sun is present at 8:24 in the morning, which is just on the opposite side of this wall at 8:24 to what is the same building. I'm looking at the object, and the demons provide flashing of light. It's the same sex offense when these sex offenders, who are the people of the state who are going to federal prison that work here at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott, when they know my legs are open and my genitalia is exposed, these are the demons who are stalking in the path, and they are thinking that they're anonymous right now because they're in vehicles. Let me be clear. This demon is not separate or distinct from Alan San Victoris, who's going to be specifically prosecuted and removed from the position that he currently holds, while that demon-infected and corrupt agency, the Monrovia Police Department, not a real law enforcement agency, and they will be facing disbanding while they act with impunity, because the criminal conduct that's been documented amongst more than 8 additional law enforcement agencies who will be prosecuted for terrorism in the state of California, revealing what the state of California is engaging in with an entire population. As you hear helicopter activity outside of my hotel room under what is necessarily a fake sun, remember it's at this location at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's exactly what I showed you in screenshots. It's at the same position that it's at 10 o'clock in the morning when I'm in the parking lot, which is adjacent to the same exact street. That's the fake sun that demons of the Monrovia Police Department, demons of the Arcadia Fire Department, demons of the Monrovia Fire Department are group stalking with a population who are violent sex offenders, targeting with engineered light, targeting under a fake sun, targeting with the state that uses helicopters to engage in psychological torture and terrorism and harassment as an entity, a defeated entity. The demon-possessed are going to be shamed and they're going to be prosecuted, and many are going to federal prison. Hundreds of terrorists are going to federal prison in the state of California. So I want to be clear, and let me be clear, thousands are walking away with a criminal record as domestic terrorists, and which is an exceedingly violent sex offender, and that includes the chief of police of the Arcadia Fire Department, the chief of police of the Monrovia Fire Department, the chief of the fire chiefs of those aforesaid fire departments, and the chief of police of the Monrovia Police Department. They're looking forward to a federal prosecution. That's Falk crossing paths with engineer light across the red curb and possible light activity, just like every other demon. Okay, not only is that not the sun, it's not sunlight that's dragging across the curb. They're engaging in the same conduct that you see at the DMV. They're engaging in the same conduct that you see inside of the Chase Bank in possible light. You saw it inside of the lobby here at what is TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott. My upright shadow inside of a lobby where the fake sun is directly over it. This is at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is not the sun. And the entity just provided evidence against the employees and every demon that's maintaining presence inside of a hotel room, participating in state surveillance, which is the conspiracy to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen. That's why you engage in terrorizing methods of stalking, which are demonic, utilizing helicopters in a method that's not even intelligent. Sunlight, that's supposedly the product of a sun that's outside of a building. I need you to pay attention to the trajectory, this angle of light, which is impossible while it's coming in at an angle through a window, creating the shadow of the chains. This is all demonic. So is the amplified audible activity coexisting with the demonic pacing. This is terrorism that the people of the state are going to be prosecuted for. So the people of the state are the same ones that are inside of facilitating venues that I've documented by business name. Everybody inside of that Chase Bank, group stalking, just like Monrovia Police, that's what the LAPD were doing. And they're going to federal prison. That's exactly what the this TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott, they're on the payroll of TOWNPLACE Suites. They're all going to federal prison. I've been here for 7 days. This is systematic facilitation, and the state provides evidence against the people, and the people provide evidence against the state. It's the state's pattern of conduct, however. It's providing what is an irreducible pattern of conduct that a population participates in with the people, and it is showing what demon possession looks like, what it conducts itself like, and the psychotic sex offending stalker that are the demon possessed, who are the state of California. Alan Sandvictor is, again, I want to be clear, he's going to be prosecuted as a terrorist. He is a domestic enemy, and he is acting with the population that's communicating a sexually violent threat to the life while they are stalking in helicopters, which he knows all about. It's a pattern of conduct in California. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:55 p.m. You're looking at the phenomenon where there's no sun in perfect alignment with my bedroom window in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, where you saw since February of 2024, that's where the fake sun remained. And I told you then that that's not the sun because it's a scientific impossibility, like here, that the sun would be over the same building from 8:24 in the morning, for example, until what is 6:56 in the evening. That's not the sun. It's also not sunlight, the methods of engineer light, and you saw the flashing of light. This is the evidence of demon possession. This is the foolish behavior of those who are acting with impunity and malice. Sex offenders, like Alan Sandvictor, who are terrorists, who are holding positions that they will be removed from, and it will be public information why they've been removed. It is a public safety concern that they be removed while I'm documenting the criminal system that they are engaging in, conspiring to murder, to terrorize, harass, and intimidate as a government. That is with the whole population who are engaged in demonic activity right now. Crossing path. These are demons who are pacing just like you saw in the hallway this morning while the fake sun stayed over this same exact building. And you hear them stalking in a helicopter to the demise of their own criminal co-conspirator, the people of the state. It is currently 6:56 p.m. This is going to be uploaded to the podcast. It's called the P.O.C. Pattern of Conduct, documenting for purposes of mass distribution, again, what the state's pattern of conduct is. You will recognize the ongoing consistent pattern of conduct that is shared at third-party facilitating venue Alvarado Gardens by third-party employers, Speaker Companies Incorporated, whose corporate office and the SoCal division, they're all going to federal prison. They represent what this entire population is engaging in. As I remained at that workplace and at that apartment complex from the beginning to the end of the day, where the sunrise and the sunset maintain presence over me. And this is not through the bedroom window of Alvarado Gardens apartment 6 of building 1806. This is also never going to create this light activity because it's not the sun. This is the act of the phenomenon. Also, you know that this is not creating light activity. It's not going to be seen through any of the windshields of the vehicles parked inside of the parking lot outside of my apartment of building 1806, apartment number 6. That's how you know what they all are. And they are all the people of the state that fill this hotel who will be prosecuted. They are acting with impunity. They're adding on to their own punishment. While one thinks that they're getting away, their criminal co-conspirators going to federal prison. Their criminal co-conspirators going to federal prison for years. Their criminal co-conspirators going to be removed publicly from their place of corrupt leadership, such as chief of police, such as fire chief, They're going to be prosecuted as well as the terrorists that they are while they sought to secretly engage in the system. And because of foolish pride, they continue to engage in it, and all it's going to serve for is their public embarrassment. It is, again, 6:58 p.m. This is the prosecution of the state of California. This is Myrtle and Huntington in Monrovia, California. This is P.O.C.